everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome to the Fans Forum, the first one of the 25-26 season. So we're very much looking forward to hearing all your questions, and we've got a wonderful panel who will answer them to the best of their ability. So, as you can probably see, the panel consists of Tom Rawcliffe, CEO, Brian Tinnion, Technical Director, Head Coach Gerhard Struber, and our excellent Vice-Captain and Centre-Back, Rob Dickie. But first of all, we're just going to do a bit of an introduction, and then as soon as we can, we'll open the floor to questions. We are live on Robin's TV and YouTube, so if we do have time, we'll get some questions from them as well. So first of all, I know Tom's going to just open up with a few words.
Firstly, thank you for joining us. Can you all hear me in the back, by the way? Everything okay? Great, thank you. And thanks for joining in the room. Thanks to you guys who are joining online. But this is a really good format for you to ask any question you want. We'll try our best to answer them. I'll set the scene a little. We've played 9 games. We're in 10th position. We have 13 points. As with most clubs, we'd like to be higher up in the league, but it's early days and we've seen some really promising performances. Attendance has been really well. We're averaging over 23,000 from the first 5 home games this season, so thank you for your support. We've sold out and have taken 1,600 of our supporters to Norwich, which is a hell of a long journey. And again, thank you very much for that. Let's hope we can deliver 3 points for you to travel back to Bristol with. Actually, going to start with some, what I hope is very good news. And I'll steal your thunder, Sheridan, from the media team's announcement tomorrow. So I'm very pleased to announce that Rob Dickie is extending his stay with us in Bristol, and he's got 2 extra years, and he'll be here till June 2028. And I'll also break with tradition, and I will ask the first question of this Fans Forum. Rob, can you tell everyone just how happy you are to be here for a few years longer?
Yeah, no, I'm really, really happy. I feel really, settled and happy here. I'm enjoying my football, enjoying working with the new manager as well. So I'm delighted.
Yeah, good to hear. So Sheridan, I think we're happy to go and take questions from the audience.
Perfect. Okay, we will open the floor. Come on, don't be shy, everyone. Don't be shy.
Sorry, I wrote this one down because I'm asking it on behalf of someone that can't be here. So with the Semenyo, Scott and Conway fees seemingly spent on multiple players with limited impact, several key players nearing the end of their contracts, minus Rob obviously, what's the club's plan to avoid major squad decline, given the tight funds, no major sales or hoped, expected, and no clear academy players pushing for the first team?
Yeah, good question. Do you want me to take that one, or do you want to answer on the squad side? But, look, as always, we'll try and improve the squad where possible. In terms of players leaving and going, that's part and parcel of football. But for what is, we think, a good transfer window in the summer, we managed to strengthen the squad from where we started the summer, where we ended last season, to where we are today. We'll also be intending to do that in January. Now, nothing's ever that straightforward and that simple, but we've got to work with what we've got. And you mentioned funds are tight. I think we're really quite well backed by our owner, and look, we might not be going out and spending massive transfer fees. What I would ask people to do is judge the squad on what it is on paper, and I think that squad's pretty strong in the Championship, and we saw that last year, and I think it's been promising thus far. But I'd love to sit here and say we're going to get huge fees in, but you don't know what's going to happen next. But you're quite right. I think we all know there's not an Alex Scott or Antoine Semenyo in there where you're going to get big money. So we'll have to adjust and react accordingly. We also have financial fair play to consider. I think I'll probably bore half you in the room if I talk about the financial fair play side of things, but it is a fact of life. It is something we have to do, and whilst we have headroom this year, which is good, it's easy, we are quite a bit tighter next year, so it doesn't keep me up at night, but we're close to those parameters, but we're not alone in the 24 teams in the Championship and having to deal with those rules as well. So look, we'll always try and improve that squad. Look, it helps when you sell players. But naturally, that's what we're all here to do. Rob on the playing side, Gerhard on the coaching side, and Brian on the squad composition side is trying to make the Bristol City team who play for us, who play for you guys on that pitch as strong as we can. And look, if player sales occur, great, and if not, we always have plans for that too.
I think it's really important that if we can't invest, I think it's really important we keep the squad together. And I think that's one of the things we've just done with Rob, to secure Rob. We are trying to keep Zach Weiner and get Zach Weiner a new contract. He's been offered a contract. Alice has been offered a contract, and we've been in talks last week about extending a few who've got 2 years left now. So we're looking at that now. So we are looking to keep this squad together because we think it's really competitive and it's really a good group of players. And as Tom said, we'll continue to try and add your Reeses and your Randalls along the way. But I think you're right. If we can't invest, we have to try and keep what we've got until we can sell one to then reinvest.
And the academy was also mentioned there, and I know, Gerhard, that's really important to you, isn't it? And you've had a lot of those players from the academy training regularly with the first team.
Yeah, hello everyone. First of all, yeah, I think this is this should be also next to them, that we are successful on the transfer market. Should be, of course, it's a very, very important part here in our club, that we bring some youth players through, and we fill up the pipeline with the under-18s, with the under-21s, in a direction that we have always, when we would lose a player, always some players also in the academy where we can bring immediately to us. And in the last few weeks, or in the last few months right now, we have always the situation that young players with us, and that we get in the end a good picture. And of course, the players, the young players, when they train with us, they grow, they develop, of course, with a different tempo. And I would say we have right now players in our roster, they are very, very close to step in, they knock on the door. Especially right now, Leo Betkova is one of these players. He's very, very close to get game time. And this is, of course, next to them, that we are creative in the transfer window. This is a duty that we bring players from our academy in the first team.
How's that been for you as well, Rob, as more of the senior players, seeing those academy players training with you and being in the matchday squad as well?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's excellent for young players to come up and train with us and be around matchday squads and see how it all works and just gain that really valuable experience. We train very much to an intensity that we play at, so when they are called upon, it's very important that they're ready, and I feel like they you know, especially someone like Leo, who I rate as well, I think he will be ready.
Great, okay, next question. Jerry, I think we've got a few here.
Yeah, coming on to the academy, back to it. We're not getting as many through as we used to, so it's a question for you, Gerhard, for how you blood young players and how you feel about the academy. But for the club, for the CEO and Brian, is the strategy and the way the academy is set up right? You know, the way I understand it, we're category 2. Category 1 near us was Southampton. They used to kind of try and steal players, have a little training thing in Bath and steal our players, but I don't think they do that anymore. So should have a wide area going from to South Wales, up to Birmingham, down to Southampton, down into Devon and Cornwall to attract players. But what is it that would attract a really hot 13, 14-year-old to come to Bristol City? I assume you could go to a Premier League club and just be constantly loaned and sat on the bench, come here and you'll get a chance. But if we're not putting him in the team, and Gerhard doesn't trust them to put in the team, do we have our strategy right? Are we being really hard-nosed about our academy and how we get that talent?
I think, personally, the standard of and the level of the player in the first team has made it more difficult for these boys to get in, I must say, because your midfield players have got to get Knight, Bird, Joe Williams and Randall out of the team. You know, the back players is Dickie and Big Rob, and there's Zach Viner, there's Tanner, there's McInally, there's Pring. So I think the standard, and I think the standard of coaching when Liam was here went up, and I think the standard again with Gerhard and his credentials have gone up. So I think it's a case of the first team squad being stronger and the players being better. So it's been more difficult for our young players to break through. But I think then we have to work harder beneath to get them more ready. We have to make sure they're ready, because the standard now is it's a really difficult standard to go into and go bump straight in the team. And as Gerhard explained, Peakover is doing exceptionally well. He trained unbelievable yesterday, and he's really close. But he's got to get Mehmeti out. He's got to get Twine out. It's a difficult squad to get into for a young player.
Turned up in Bristol because his dad got a job,
Yeah.
whatever, you know, Guernsey and Scotland, those kind of maybe accidents.
tough. Like. We have a scouting network. We have fantastic young players in our academy. We have. And we've just got to now get them to a level where they can try and get into a team that's trying to finish in the top 6 of the championship. You know, if we were 15, 16, 17 every season, it would probably be easier to put them in. But we're now competing to get to the Premier League. We've got a group of players who wouldn't just accept for a young player to come in for the sake of playing a young player. They have to earn the right, they have to be good enough. So that makes us having to work even harder to get them to that level where Gerhard thinks they're good enough to play ahead of the current squad who finished 6th last season. So it's a tough one.
Can I just add to that? Because I think you're making a really good point there. Where we are geographically suits us, and we should have quite a large area in which to probably take the first pick of the players. We're not in London where you've got 7 or 8 clubs on your doorstep, same in the Northwest, same in Birmingham, for instance. So if I'm talking business week, that's our competitive advantage. Our natural advantage is we've got a wide range of area, urban, suburban, where we can just pick up really good players. So we think we've got a strong network in there. I think there's more than a little bit of truth that the standard to get in the first team is higher. Again, with the academy, it's very difficult to predict what comes out at the end. You can put all the money and resources in you might want to do, but a lot is on the players. And you might have a golden generation, saying you might have a couple of fallow years, and that's where we've been the past couple of years in terms of what's appeared in that first team. But look, it's absolutely important for us, as it is, I think, for our supporters, that the academy is taken really, really seriously. So we do look at that. Obviously, we want to have that conveyor belt stronger. But yeah, we are working on that, and it is important for us as a club to make sure the academy prospects get their chance. I think that's a really big selling point for a young player and their families. At Bristol City, you'll get your chance in the first team, and you won't be loaned out around the country and never play for the first team like seems to happen in a few of the Premier League clubs. So the opportunity there, and we think we've probably got the best facilities in the southwest region, or the area you mentioned there, should be enough to attract the better players to us at younger ages.
Is there anything you want to add, Gerhard? I know you work closely, don't you, with Dennis? You know him really well, and you have to balance getting minutes for the young players with the under-21s, training with you, and then being in that matchday squad as well.
Yeah, of course we are in a really good exchange. This is not only Dennis. This is, I would say, in the whole coaching group together here in the with all the managers. They have in the end influence of the young boys. I think the exchange together is on a good level, and I would say, and this is also what Brian told us, this must be a healthy way for the young boys. Yeah? So we cannot we can push that, of course, and I would say right now we on a really good way that we bring the one or other young player in this season in game time. I think this is very realistic, and this is in the end. We can speak about all the strategies and everything. This is in the end the biggest, I think in this direction you have the biggest leverage. You bring young talents in the club. When they realize you have a big chance in the end, you play in the first team. Yeah? So I think that the best practical example is always when you bring players through the academy and they play for the first team. This is the best promotion. What can you do in this way? And I think in this direction we have some interesting boys, but we have also be patient with these boys that they make the right steps in the next few weeks, and then we have to find the right timing for them when they step in. Yeah? I think and right now the team is very stable, especially around Dickie. When a young player is playing, of course he gives him a safety feeling, and I would say the structure in the team is at the moment very strong. And I would say the structure, the togetherness is so high that and the situation for the one or other player is so healthy that we can bring him in. And of course the exchange with the under-20 team, with the coach from them, is of course on a really good level, and we know exactly which players are at the moment close and which player needs maybe a little bit longer with, of course, an individual program.
It was like Jamie Knight-Labelle. We could have kept Jamie Knight-Labelle, and he had a really good pre-season, yes. Gerhard, didn't he? Yeah. But then we looked at the competition he had to get into the team. So we decided in the end, in the last minute, to get Jamie back out into League Two, get another 40 games under his belt. He'll come back with 80 games under his, and then next summer he should be really close, or January, if we decide to bring him back.
Thank you for that question. Next, Jerry, sorry, Jerry's at the back. We'll try to get to everyone.
Quick one for Rob. Does any of your first teammates have a fear of flying?
To be honest, I'm probably the worst one. But I'll just close my eyes and get on with it. It's okay.
I don't know that.
Okay, Jerry, if you want to make your way down here.
Hello. Right, yeah, that's all good. Right then, so my question is also to do with last summer's recruitment. Namely, it is a question about Sinclair Armstrong. Now, it's clear as day from anyone who's seen the videos, anything, that he is a genuinely lovely bloke. He's also someone that's going to be kind of your colleague, teammate, and probably friend. So really, it's important to me this isn't about Sinclair Armstrong, the person. I'm concerned that, from what we've seen on the pitch, that Sinclair often seems to kind of lack many of the skills required to operate, let alone succeed at this level. So my question is, if it is true that in January we were able to double our money for Sinclair, why we chose not to do that?
Well, I think last January he'd actually been in the football club for 6 months. We just give him a 4-year contract to develop. So we've kept him in the building. He's working extremely hard in training. Again, the squad is evolving. And in January, we're looking at potentially changing things because we've brought 2 young potential strikers to develop. And it's really difficult in the Championship. And we've found it really hard with both Liam and Gerhard to get them the game time that they need to develop. So if it doesn't work, then we'll look at things in January to move it on. We have to keep moving on. The players demand it, we demand it. And if it becomes where Gerhard decides that they're not going to make the impact that we want them to make on the first team, and then we'll look at things in January. But we had an option. We sold Tommy Conway for 4 million. Or 5, he won't go into 5. 10 was it, Tom?
I'm not going to discuss the figure price.
Yeah. Anyway, we had a decision to make. Now we could have bought a striker who was 24, 25 and ready made, or we could go and buy 2 development younger ones at 21. Now the club, it was a club decision to go and buy the development ones, to try and develop them, to then sell them, so then we can reinvest in the squad. That was the decision. Now, at this moment in time, has it worked? No, it hasn't quite worked. And we've realised that the Championship is a really difficult division to get these young players the game time they need. We had it with Antoine Semenyo at 21. He went to Sunderland on loan in League One at 21 years of age, and he got sent back because he couldn't get a game. So then he got into our team, he did his stuff, and now he's off, and now he's going to go for a lot of money. So it's getting them the game time that is the difficult part. And I think we've learned the Championship is probably a too tough a division to be able to get them players the time they need to develop. Now, if they're not good enough in the end and Gerhard wants better, then that's what we'll look to do. But from now till January, I know for a fact he works extremely hard with them. He's working to get them the best they can possibly be and affect the first team when they can. But yeah, I understand the frustration. We're frustrated. Of course we are. We want them to make a bigger impact, and they haven't made the impact we wanted them to.
Okay, thank you.
I think we're pretty confident we'll be able to get money for both if we want to move them on, for sure. There's a lot of interest in both.
Yeah, I think it's important we bring players in with the right intention. Look, both of these players are still at this football club. They're in the squad. They'll be there at Norwich. I think we have seen signs from time to time. You can see why we've invested in them. I think Sinclair, when he had a run of games last year, performed pretty strongly. And earlier on this season, in August in the League Cup, he had 30 minutes where he looked fantastic. Or, in my view, looked fantastic when we were at Craven Cottage. But there is a financial impact. you don't always know what you're going to get at the end when you buy a player in. That's the same for any football club, and you make some really good decisions. You might make some decisions which don't always work out. The important thing is that these two players are in the building. We've got to do the best for those two players. We've got to do the best for this football club, like we do for all the players in Gerhard's first team squad. We'll try and improve internally, and that's the same for the academy players. It's the same for the people we recruit in. So for me, I don't think we never have a crystal ball, and we can never say everything's going to be a perfect transfer. And we've seen that enough times. All of us in this room have seen that enough times over the years we've been watching football, that some transfers work out better than others. Is there a financial impact? Yeah, absolutely, because we're a development club. We try and develop our academy. We try and buy to sell. I don't think that's a secret. It might not be glamorous, but it's where we're at as a football club. So if it doesn't work, yes, there's a financial implication. But it just means we have to be shrewder and cuter in that transfer market when we delve into it. It means we've got to be stronger on the academy side to make sure the youngsters coming up can compete. So look, if we have to make changes in January next summer, wherever, then we'll do that. But again, I keep coming back to the point I'll probably bore you with it. We're just trying to improve the squad at every opportunity we get, and sometimes that's harder than it may be at other times.
Okay, yeah, can we make sure that we definitely get the mic to people, just because I know online they're struggling to hear a little bit.
Good evening, everyone. This is a question for Tom and for Gerhard. First question, altogether, is a bit of a mix. Do you think we have enough potential and ambitions for Premier League football? And I've noticed a lot recently, there's a lot of free agents going, either striker or anyone that can play Championship football and beyond. And I've noticed we've missed out on signing them. Do you think that we really should be targeting sometimes free agents for a bit more of experience and a bit more insight into the squad?
Also in this direction, I think first of all we have a really good group of players at the moment together. Yeah, so what will happen in January? Yeah, so we have many time between, and right now, from my standpoint, I plan with all my boys in a direction that we let on every game day everything on the field what we can do right now, and of course. Next to them, we have some plans, and of course we have to be very creative in more directions. Yeah? And we look, of course, in more ways. This is one time the academy. This is, of course, that we developed our players on the best level what we can, and then we look on the market, what the market gives us. And when we have interesting players on the market, and normally the transfer window in the winter is not so easy. Yeah, but of course we look and we watch in this direction, and when a player would be available and is interesting for us and give us in the end something where we have together the belief this helps the group for the next step, yeah, of course we would be do something, but that's not so easy, yeah? And we are not alone.
Yeah, I'll add to that. Rest assured, Gerhard and Brian will be looking at the free transfer market and be looking at pressuring me into seeing who might be available. You're absolutely right. Got to make sure it's the right fit at the right time. There's normally a reason, and being quite honest, if they're out of contract, it doesn't stop us looking around and about. But yeah, I think we've got the squad we've got at the minute. Gerhard's again in charge of developing them. But yeah, we do look everywhere, or we think we're looking in enough places. So if there's something available, that's something we'd have to jump on. So yes, we have considered it.
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Hello. I think this is a question for Gerhard specifically. It's probably the easiest question you'll have tonight, but what attracted you to Bristol City? You're a man that's got global managerial experience, so I hope you know what you're doing. But so far so good. So if you could give a bit of an insight on why you took the job, that'd be good.
Yeah, thank you. I think we need a little bit fun also here. Why I decide to jump here in this world has of course many to do's with how the club works and how is the strategy from the club. And and you know it, that I came from a football planet where development from young players was a normal one, and also to bring young players in the professional football world was something normal for me. And when we have together the interviews and the time to speak in which direction the club will develop, the club will go, then I feel the club is super ambitious to make the next step. That was in the playoffs. What is the next step? Yeah, of course, we want more. Yeah, and I think the mix to bring young players through, to have on the same time really good players next to me, they are ready for results, for the right results. This makes the job very sexy, and this was, this was in the end, with the discussions what we have, very clear, very clear for me. This is a really good match, and this is not a match for 3, 4, 5 or month or for a year. So this is a match for a longer term, and we want to develop something together with some challenges. Yeah, but on the same time, it's very interesting. And right now, I'm super happy that I decide to go with these boys in this direction.
When you say next step, you mean Premier League?
This is funny guy. We are not dreamer, but on the same time we have big goals this season. And when we speak about Premier League, and Rob knows it also, he's many years in the Championship, and that you play in the Championship on top, and to promote in the end, you need, of course, through the whole season, players, they're always available. You need, in the end, of course, outstanding runs. You need players in a really good form, and you need also a little bit luck. On the same time, I would say the energy what we have right now in the dressing room, the spirit, the belief, also with our football identity, we have some rule breakers. This could help us to be, in the end, a very, very interesting team. And when some of the teams, maybe like Southampton, Ipswich, Birmingham, and we could speak about more teams, they have maybe some problems with the pressure, then we could come from behind and surprise a little bit. Yeah? So this is our approach, or this is our goal. Yeah? But we are realistic, we are not dreaming, we work every day super hard on the training field, and we do everything for the next match to bring points home. And then we have, hopefully, in the end, a very interesting result.
I know you've brought Rob into the conversation there, so it just might be nice to hear from Rob. How do you reflect on your first 2 years here, and what are you looking forward to in the future?
Yeah. Well, when I signed here, I remember saying in my interview, that I wanted to come here because it was a club that was moving in the right direction. They wanted to progress. I'd definitely say in my first 2 years we have, with league positions, and we made the playoffs last year. Like Gerhard says, this year, of course, we want to make the playoffs. There's 20 other teams that also want to make the playoffs, so it makes things difficult, but we feel like we've got a team that can go out there every Saturday or Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and really compete to win points and games.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, Jerry.
Really a question, I think, for Tom. We've obviously seen a new investor coming in for the Bristol City women's team. I'm just interested to know how actually that now fits within the Bristol, sort of under the umbrella Bristol Sport, and how that's changed. But then thinking on from that in terms of the men's team, if we're looking to bring new investors in, is that going to be the model for a new investor to come in? Or is it still a case of that someone might be able to take a full stake within the men's team? So it just raised a few questions in my mind as to really sort of how the structure works and what impact that actually might have on any future deals.
Yeah. So 2 questions there. One on Bristol City women, and where does that leave us? Where does that leave Bristol City women in the group, and then where does it leave us in terms of takeover? Okay, perfect. So Bristol City women, we have sold. That was announced at the end of September. We're waiting on the Women's Super League to ratify that deal. We would expect that in the next week or two. Assuming no issues there, and I'm not expecting there to be any issues, we will still retain a 20% stake in Bristol City Women. We've still got an interest in. We still want them to succeed and do well here in Bristol, and they'll play the games at Ashton Gate. Ultimately, I think has been discussed when that was announced, looking for a partner on the women's side with the women's team, and the partner, Mercury 13, we think can take that team on to really exciting levels and more than we could do here at Bristol City. Where does that leave us in terms of the takeover for this football club? But again, it's no secret we are open for sale. We're looking for investment, be it, and it can be minority, it could be majority, it doesn't have to be all the group, it could be different elements of the group, it could be Bristol City, it could be Bristol City Holdings. So yeah, look, we're open, we're having conversations, as I think most of you are aware. I think I've said it 2 or 3 times over the last couple of years that it's going to happen at some stage. The Lansdowne family will not be here forever, and we've got to prepare ourselves for it. You don't know what's going to happen in the future, so nothing's off the table as such, but yeah, we are well backed at the minute, and we'll see what happens further down the line with potential takeover, but at the minute there's nothing imminent. Anything else? Does that answer what you need, or was there anything else?
Can we get a mic over, just so we can hear?
Yeah, sorry, Jerry.
That's all right. Sorry, Jerry. Getting your steps in.
No, I was just sort of thinking around, would a potential, takeover of the club have to sort of, in a sense, be like the takeover of the women's team, where sort of, maybe the Lansdownes might retain a 20% stake, or would it be someone have to come in and sort of take over?
Yeah, I think both options are on the table.
It could be both. That's really what I wanted to get to.
Yeah, it could be either or.
Okay, next up over here.
Hello. I just want to say thank you all for having us tonight. So my question is mainly for Gerhard and for Rob as well. I think I speak for everyone here. We started the season so well with, 4-1 start. Incredible. Now we've gone on and we've done a few games now. It sort of feels to me like we may have gone into old habits. And to me it feels, as a supporter and someone who watches the games all the time, it feels like if we concede a goal, the confidence kind of goes on the field. So what are you doing sort of at half-time to sort of get morale back up and everything like that? I know everyone's concerned about injuries and things like that, but it's more about the mental prepared of your team and everything like that. So what are you taking forward into Norwich? What lessons are you going to be taking for this weekend?
Yeah, first of all, I think I'm in the same way. Yeah? So we start really good in the season, and performance-wise, I would say, especially when we look back to Preston, also Ipswich at home, I would say the boys create a really, really good performance. And on this same time, we have to deal also sometimes with results. They are in the end not maybe in this direction what the performance look, but on the same time, so what we take or what we take from them is that of course our especially my football identity is something where you have to be really focused and really concentrated over the whole game time, and realize exactly what is the task. And of course we could see in all the games how high is our power in transition, how high is our intensity in the games, and on the same time we work right now also, of course, that we find between in some moments in the game a little bit a better balance to regain the game, manage the regain a little bit stronger, that we find more control for the next pressing moment, find more control for the next transition moment, and this is something where we look deeper and deeper, and of course the games give us always a little bit the feedback, so in which direction we have to make the next step. And this is something I would say that we have a little bit a better balance between this outstanding vertical mindset from the boys in a direction of sometimes it's also allowed to find a little bit more control in a game, that we are can find and work for the next moment. So a little bit a better economy. This is something where we spoke with the boys, and also in this direction we trained.
Just to add to that, I think another thing I would say is early in the season, I think we took our chances early on in games, which really hurt teams. We typically seem to start fast, and we can really surprise teams when we take our chances early. It puts them immediately on the back foot. But also, the manager he pushes us a lot, and he's brilliant with us at half time. But at the end of the day, I think players have to step up in big moments in both boxes. We have to take more of our chances. We have to defend our box better. That's on us. The responsibility lies with the players. And part of my role is to drive that and set the standards and keep the standards. But we're very critical with each other, not in a bad way, but in sort of a helpful way. We look at all different ways to improve, and that should start on Saturday.
Go ahead.
Hi, thanks. So, firstly, welcome to Bristol, Gerhard, and nice to see you've been exploring the city on your socials. And I'm sure you've seen all the pubs, so you could tell me where your favourite pub is later. So, anyway, welcome to the club, and welcome to Bristol. This is probably a question for maybe Tom. I asked a question last year about getting some branding on the stadium, and I'd just like to pass my thanks on. As I said, we've got a nice big Bristol City badge on the side of the stand now, so that must have gone up in the summer because I haven't been around for a while. But
yeah, that went up in July. Really pleased to get that one done. But we had a chat about this. The communication works two ways, and I think we have been criticised in the past for not being fantastic on our communication. A lot of football clubs get that, but communication does work two ways. So we do take on board what is said in meetings such as this when we meet with the supporters club and trust. So that seemed quite high on the agenda. So I'm glad we can finally get that one boxed off and ticked off.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. So going on from that. I'm not going to be the guy to talk about atmosphere and putting home fans in the Atio, but as a cross-on to that, is there scope to maybe increase safe standing in the South Stand? I know there's a lot of clubs, especially in the Championship now, as well as the Prem and below, that have put sort of large sections of their home end in safe standing, like a red wall behind the goal. I'm not sure if that's scope to do that as well, possibly at some point, or look to do something a bit more?
Yeah, good question. We're probably revisiting where we were 12 months ago at the similar sort of forum, and we can talk about the atmosphere, so might as well address that now. So I thought the atmosphere was really good the back end of last season, and call me old-fashioned or naive, I think when you're winning football, the atmosphere tends to be better. So I suppose the flippant answer is Gerhard just needs to make sure he wins every game, and the atmosphere actually will be much better. Easy. Being less flippant and being more... Yeah, sorry, no pressure there. So we do have the safe standing in place. We have had discussions on that with the supporters club and trust. It's not necessarily straightforward to do. You might have to be displacing people. We also have the fan advisory board, which you guys or some of you in the room will have voted for your representatives. We're meeting for the first time here at the stadium in a more informal get-to-know-each-other manner next Wednesday. So when we spoke to different fan groups, not everyone had the same view as to where that safe standing should be. So open to that conversation. It's going to take us some time. But I think having the fan advisory board and having one unit we can speak to in one go between supporters and clubs, or your representative and the club, will be beneficial towards that. So I understand why we want the atmosphere to be as good as it can possibly be. So we are looking at it, and we'll continue to look at it.
Thanks, Tom. And finally, Rob, great news you've just extended. Just a question, what are your matchday responsibilities as a vice-captain?
Thank you. Just taking the sort of leadership role that I have and getting around the boys, reinforcing the manager's messages, and each player prepares for every game differently. Some need talking to, some need to be left alone. I like to think I'm quite good at judging what each player needs, but if anyone ever needs help or talk to me, they know they can come and talk to me. But mainly just getting the boys really up for the game, reinforcing the manager's messages, and yeah, that's my role, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
This question's for Tom, and hopefully, Rob, you can add some insight into it as well. You mentioned atmosphere. Something that I've observed sat in the Dolman is that quite often away fans out-sing us. especially at the particular start of the game. We seem to be playing music around the stadium that's quite generic in terms of football, and I wondered if there's any suggestions or conversations behind the scenes about embracing a city that's got such rich culture and music history to it. If there's more songs we could play that's more kind of aligned with our city rather than just kind of generic anthems that every club has a song to and kind of out volumes us. I don't know, Rob, from your perspective, how that feels on the pitch.
Yeah, I've not really thought about the music that gets played, if I'm honest. But what I would say is, like, certainly when we're attacking this way towards this stand, we can feel the atmosphere. It's almost, you know, it's high volume. It's good. But you know, I would also say that when we're the away team, our away fans out seeing the home team, it's quite, you know, when you have the away section is very much the hardcore, or you know, whatever you like, and they'll sort of keep going all game. But I don't really have any complaints about our atmosphere here. I think it's great. Of course, when we go down or stuff, it gets a little bit nervy, but that's kind of natural in football. I think that certainly after my first season here, starting from last season and into this season, the atmosphere here has been really good, and we've definitely felt that as players. There's been some special games here where we've really felt the atmosphere.
Yeah, I'll add to that. So, in terms of the music before the game, I think we played different songs. You're right; it is quite generic. It's probably the same sort of music you might hear up and down the country at the other 72 stadiums in the Football League. We do occasionally do the request from supporters: what do you want to hear? At the full-time whistle, when we win, or hopefully when we win, we'll sometimes delay that victory song and let the atmosphere soak up there. Really, we want to try and build up that atmosphere. We are open to suggestions, and look, we've tried the light shows. I don't think that's worked fantastically well for us, and I think we've heard the feedback in the stands on the night as to what our supporters think that. So not everything has to work, but we are open to doing that. Again, that's probably a good thing for us to speak to the fan advisory board. What can we do to, in the 5 minutes to kick off, make sure everyone's in the seat or standing up and getting behind Rob and the rest of the boys out on that pitch. So yeah, we're happy to talk to representatives on that, yeah, welcome to hear suggestions on what music we should be playing instead.
This is a question for probably Gerhard, but I'd like Rob to answer it first to make sure he answers it in the right way.
No pressure.
The football we've seen this season, from my point of view, has been a lot more positive. We've been a lot braver on the ball. We've been a lot more direct. We've been making more positive decisions on the pitch. There's been a few frustrated characters when at times people have checked out and come back when the option was to go forward. So it looks like we're taking games to teams, whereas maybe in the past we've looked not to lose rather than to go and win the games. So can you just tell me about the approach to games and how much we're looking at other teams rather than, you know, concentrating on our strengths? How is that maybe flipped from previous years, previous managers?
I think we train our sort of strengths all the time. We know what we want to get out of games and how we want to hurt teams. Some teams, we always look at the opposition and where, you know, maybe certain areas might be different to hurt them, but typically we want to regain the ball high and really hurt teams early on and attack quite decisively. I think our forward players, if you ask any of them, I think they definitely have more freedom now under Gerhard, and I think they're enjoying that. Last few weeks we've missed that sort of final touch, but I think we're absolutely creating more chances than we have during my time here, really. I think it's definitely more exciting football. But again, like I said earlier, it's down to us players to, you know, the manager can't put the ball in the back of the net for us. You know, it's down to us players in big moments to make sure that we're doing that and we stay composed. But the signs are definitely very encouraging, in my opinion. You know, being at the back and watching the boys sort of play free-flowing football at times, and defending against it in training as well is very hard. We work really hard at it, so I like to think that our work on the training pitch is paying off, but we really need to be getting our rewards now and taking more chances.
Is that right, Gaffer?
This is the description was perfect.
Okay, we've got one over here, Jerry. Just to make you do another lap.
Jerry's going to step something.
Yes.
This is about the opinion on the windows from last summer and this summer. in that, yes, there are good decisions, there are some not so good, as we put it politely, not bad. This summer we signed 3 goalkeepers in. Lewis Thomas extended stay, Joe Lumley came in, Radek Vitek then came in on loan. We signed Yu Hirakawa last year on loan to play 4-2-3-1 as we started the year, went to a back 3, we then made that permanent. There are good signings, Reece, Randall, we can all see that, but we look at certain recruitment when we're really tight, and yet there seems to be crossed wires on plans, and how does that align that we can go so far to signing 3 goalkeepers when really we had a first choice, may have needed a backup or an improvement?
Yeah.
Brian and Tom.
Yeah,
Luke, Brian, yeah.
Luke Thomas is a training goalkeeper. Luke trains with the first team to allow our younger goalkeepers to go out on loan and gain experience. So Luke is mainly a training goalkeeper to be there every day to support the goalkeepers and especially let the young ones go out. We signed Lumley to support Max O'Leary as a number 2 to push Max. Obviously Max got an injury and needed an operation. He was just coming back now, so we had to go out and get a goalkeeper then to push and Joe Lumley, who become virtually the number 1 because Max was injured. So Vitek came in, he was that impressive. Then Gerhard saw him as his number 1. So Luke Thomas was always staying as a training goalkeeper, and we had to bring Vitek in then to push Joe Lumley when Max O'Leary received his injury. So we haven't signed all the goalkeepers to have 4 goalkeepers. Joe was coming in to push Max. Max got injured. We needed someone to push Joe, and Vitek's come in and done a fantastic job.
And the Hirakawa one, whereby he was signed for a 4-2-3-1. We've stuck with a back 3 and a Gerhard, which no one's doubting his ability. When that wing back, he's tried hard and he's done his best.
Hirakawa,
but we
Liam
made him.
were playing the same system.
Was it required to play it to make it permanent on his loan, or did we decide to make permanent despite the plans perhaps to not play a formation I think all of us know doesn't suit him as a player, and whereby money's tight? Could that money have gone somewhere else on people that would have aided what we're looking to do with our formations?
Yeah, the system hasn't changed from Liam to Gerhard. So Liam wanted Hirakawa as potentially a wing back or somebody who could play in the 10. We haven't played a back 4 for 3 seasons. We've not. Liam played a 3, didn't he?
We did, because we got hammered at Derby 3-0
Yeah.
and Blackburn, and then we changed it.
Yeah, 3 games. But Liam predominantly played a 3 while he was here. And Hirakawa was here, and Liam wanted him to be part of that system. And Hirakawa can play wing back, he can play in the 10. And Gerhard, I think, quite likes him as a potential 10 in the future. So I think Hirakawa is a good player. I think he's going to develop. He's come into a new country, come into a new culture, and I think he's shown some really good signs. So I think for 700,000, I think he was a really good sign. I think he will be.
Shall I just add to that for you? So, yeah, with you, we had the option, and we took that in January. We announced that when we put the statement out as to how the January transfer window went. You, we think, improved over the course of the season. He's made his debut for the Japanese national team, which we're all really proud of over the summer. Yes, I think he's naturally a winger. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, you know more about the positions and the players than I. We think he can fit into the number 10 or the wing back, and I agree with you, he works really hard when he's come on, but he's not a natural there. We need to try and coach that into him. With regard to the keepers, we weren't expecting Max to be injured, and why would we be? But to have that flexibility to bring in someone of the calibre of Radek Vitek, and I know you've got the connection there, Gerhard, and have the ability to bring in an extra bit of quality. I see that as a good thing for the football club.
Go ahead.
You.
Hello. This is a bit of a fluffy question, really. Gerhard, you've just moved to Bristol, and Rob, you've all decided to stay. What's your favourite thing about the city?
The favourite thing in the city? I would say I love the harbour side. Yeah, it's very, very nice. Also, I think sometimes to walk through Clifton is really, really nice. And it's much more the atmosphere with the people. I think the mood in this city is on a really good level. Yeah, and also I think it's it's a really interesting city, very, very busy every day, and right now we can see all the students are back, and yeah, so it's very interesting, and it's a really good mood, and I enjoy my time here next to the High Performance Center.
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, since I've been here, the fans and the people around the city have been so welcoming to me, and I'm really grateful for that. So I would probably say that's my favourite thing about the city.
You guys are welcome here as well, right?
Andrew? Thank you, Jerry. Brian and Tom, it's a question for you. About the contracts, you know when you said about Viner and all that sort of thing, are we close on for the likes of Sykes and Mametti and all that, on and some of the others with their deals?
So I think we're not in constant communication, that would be me overplaying it, but we're speaking with players and agents, aren't we, on a weekly basis. So some things are quicker than others, and we'd rather just announce it when there's good news, and like we have done with Rob this evening. But ultimately, we've got to realise that there's two outcomes here with players out of contract at the end of the season. They either sign a new deal with us, great, we're happy with that, and if not, we'll have to go and recruit for those positions, or hope something comes up for the academy, and we've got to have our plans in place should that occur. So yeah, we're looking at both options, but yeah, Brian's been pretty clear on what we'd like to occur, and that they're playing in Gerhard's team, they're starting every week, the players you mentioned, so yeah, it's certainly something we're looking at.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, next up.
I'd like to know the official club stance on this, but also your own, all four of your own personal opinions on the idea of making the playoffs down to 8th place, I think was the proposal. Correct. And then having more, you play 5 games or something in the playoffs and then go up, or whatever it was. I just wanted to know what because obviously club get a vote on that as well in the thing. We do. So what do you think, what's the club's stance, and what's your own personal view on that?
Great. Shall I lead off on that? So I'll go with the club stance, or the current club stance. If there's an opportunity to increase the chance of getting promoted to the Premier League, and if that means finishing 8th, you're in with a chance, and why wouldn't that be a good thing for us? As the accountant in me goes, right, extra chance of an extra game and some revenue, so I won't take that out of me either. Where do I stand on a personal viewpoint? Probably makes the season a little bit more interesting. If I'm in the Premier League, I think you might worry that you'll dilute the quality of it if you're getting someone from 8th who can have a good run, but I guess it's the same with 6, and 40 years ago we didn't have the playoffs, did we? In the top 2 or top 3 went up there, and then I don't think it's been received badly, the playoff system, and being in 6th and having the chance to go up, so look, open to it. But I'll let the other guys give their thoughts as well.
Yeah, it'd obviously give us a better chance of getting in them playoffs on a yearly basis. So it would be good for us. I think it would be good for a lot of clubs who've got the potential to get to 8th in the league. So yeah, I wouldn't be against that at all.
Yeah, also from my side, it's a logical thing that in the end the chance to come in the playoffs, it's a little bit easier. Yeah, and of course I have no problem with that.
Yeah, the same here. I think it gives more. It makes more teams, gives more teams more to play for. So, and like Tom said, it's a higher chance of making the playoffs. So I think it makes sense.
Okay, is there anyone who hasn't asked a question yet who wants an opportunity? Over here? Go there and then here.
Thank you. My question's for Tom. My understanding of football finances, from a technical point of view, is quite limited. So when I hear the club talk about overspend, it kind of confuses me. Surely you go into a summer with a budget and targets, and not to go over that. I might go over my budget at the pub on a Friday night, but I'm not buying football players for millions of pounds. Yeah. So it's just quite, especially as we just come out of a period of financial insecurity, we plunge ourselves straight back into one that's going to harm us going forward. So I'd like to understand how that actually comes to be.
Yeah, it's a really good question. So if we go back to, I think you're referring to the statement we put out in January, didn't we, where we said, look, we overspent on the budget. So particularly towards the back in that window, we had Luke McNally came in late on in the window. Luke's a player we've been tracking for a couple of years, and the opportunity to do that was something we didn't feel we could pass up. Now, you've got a choice in that situation. You take the risk, which we did at the time, and I see it as more as ambitious that you take the risk and go, we'll solve this further down the line. Or we could have kept our powder dry, missed out on a player who, up until his unfortunate injury, was doing better and better or to my opinion, was doing better and better each game for us. So we took the riskier decision as a collective, and that's what we do, and we try and recoup in January, which, again, we did do, and you can see players went out on loan in Rob Atkinson, Cal Naismith, and Fally Mayuli went over to Austria. So it's a calculated risk. We didn't accidentally end up there like we might do in the pub if we have that 4 for 5, 5th pint too many. We knew what we were up against. But I don't think we look back at it, Brian, do we go, look, we think we made a mistake. It's difficult for us internally, obviously, but I see it more as that ambitious point. Right, let's do this now, and we'll strengthen the squad now. And look, admittedly, we had to correct it in January, and we feel we did do that in January. So, yeah, these aren't easy decisions. It's not lightly, and it didn't creep up on us by surprise. That's ultimately how we ended up in that position.
Yeah, well, questions for Tom. This could be quite a short sort of a response from yourself, but is there any genuine rumours, or there was a lot circling around the sort of just before the start of the season and the sort of into the season of Saudi investment, Turkey Al Sheikh? Was there anything there? Was it genuine or not?
Yeah, we had conversation on it. But as we were saying earlier, we are up for investment, and it has to be the right investment. Yes, we'll speak to people, and it's an attractive club to come and buy and want to be part of, particularly one which is in a really good area of the country. It's a really cool city to be in, as Gerhard and Rob have explained to you. Also, a team which has you've got all your infrastructure sorted in terms of the stadium, the training ground's fantastic. We're lucky to be there every day. So, yeah, we do have interest from all over the world, but predominantly in football clubs. And who's buying it now? For me, it tends to be either US or Middle East-based backers. So, yeah, we've had interest from both those, but there's a lot of conversations to be had, and yeah, we haven't come overly close. And repeat what I said half an hour ago, nothing's imminent. Does that give you what you need? Yeah.
Hello. Question for Tom, really. So obviously the news came out about Bristol City women. We kind of already touched on it. And obviously there's been some great work done at the club and just the whole Bristol City family to sort of raise awareness of Bristol City women and get more fans through the door. I'm just wondering how sort of the strategy going forward is to still sort of retain Bristol City women as part of the family in terms of like marketing and things. So I think that sort of one club mentality feels quite unified. So I think, is there a strategy going forward to ensure that, there's still that element?
Yeah, so we'll retain 20% of Bristol City women. We'll have a seat on the board. There'll be 5 people on the board, and we'll have 1 representative on there. So will be some continuity. They'll remain training with us at the RHBC. So it's not a breakup as it would be. It's not a clean breakup if it's from a relationship perspective. So we will be working quite closely together. We'll be sharing the same space. They'll still be playing at Ashton Gate Stadium here. So very much it will be part of us, and we want to work closely and collectively with the new owners. So from a fan perspective, hopefully you don't see too much change in the short term. And I think it's a positive step for Bristol City women.
Okay, anyone else who hasn't asked a question yet? Okay.
Thank you. Possibly a question for the whole panel, maybe directed at Rob to start with, given that you've probably got the safest and longest term contracts up there at the moment, haven't just you? But on a more serious note, heard about Brian was very cautious in terms of his reply, but still honest in terms of where you might want to go in January. Are you able to be very open to the fans and say, these are the key areas which we see as identifying in the January window? And secondly, who makes the final decision? So I appreciate that Gerhard's only just recently came in relative terms. But when it comes to the manager, the coach, the technical director, the CEO, etc., I appreciate money is not endless, but can you share with the fans effectively where the final decision is made on who comes in?
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to lead with that one?
Or the head coach. He has the final say on the player. We'll discuss the targets for the position. We'll sit down with Gerhard. We'll go through the players that we think, and he'll come up with his own players now because he's got a good knowledge of players from his time, and he'll have the final say. It's never changed. Liam had the final say, Nigel had the final say, and obviously then Tom has to tick it off financially.
I was just going to interject there, because otherwise he's setting
financially
millions and millions of pounds. So,
yeah, financially,
we won't be signing players who are, despite what I've just said 5 minutes ago on the overspend, we won't be signing players who we can't afford. So that'll rest with me. Look, there's big decisions to be made. Obviously, we've got owners here who've been, or Steve in particular, who's been doing it for 25 years, owning this club. So we won't do anything without speaking to them. But look, we've got a pretty clear remit ourselves, and we're trusted to get on with the decisions. But you don't make multi-million-pound decisions without consulting owners either. But day to day, we'll be making the decisions in here. So we won't sign a player. Gerhard and Brian don't rate. I won't be putting anything into the player group as who I think we should be signing, which should reassure each and every one of you in this room. But likewise, we won't be signing off anything which is catastrophic to the finances, and that'll sit with me. So we have to tick a couple of boxes along the way, but ultimately it's on us as a collective to make sure that's right. So if Gerhard doesn't fancy the player, we're not going to sign them. If it's not going to fit in financially, we won't be signing them. But it's my job, I think, to make sure we give the best amount of resource to these guys to get the best players. It's quite simple. Normally, the more you spend on players, the better they should be, but we know in reality that's not quite the case.
And can you be more specific in terms of the areas which you're looking to strengthen in?
Yes, Brian, shall I leave that one with you, if that's right?
Cheers, Tom.
Yeah.
I think it's really clear, and we touched on it before, we've got from now till January, and certain players, and I know who you're talking about, no, but the strikers have got to start firing. They've got to start supporting Reece. And if not, then I think that's pretty clear that's a position in January that we'll go and do, or try and do. So I think that's the main position. I think we're strong in other positions if everybody's fit, but I do think if they don't fire between now and Jan, then that's honestly where we'll be.
Bit of a follow-on from that. Do we have a competitive wage structure at the club in terms of against other championship clubs? That's basically my question, really, because I don't know what our wage structure is, top players' earnings.
Yeah, I won't tell you exactly what the players are earning. I'm not going to reveal what's in Rob's contract. I'm delighted to announce he took a huge wage reduction, which I'm very happy with. I'm only kidding there. But we have a wage structure which enables us to attract good quality players and players with championship experience. In terms of wage budget, we are competitive. We think we'll be top 10, judging on the metrics which come out. Now, if you look at average wages, we're actually probably short slightly of the average wage in the Championship, but you're skewed so much by the parachute payment. So, yeah, we'll be in the top half. Certainly, I'm pretty confident we'll be top 10 from the data we see from the Football League. So we should be able to attract good players, and like we complement that with players coming through from the academy, then we should be in a good position. So I really think we can compete, yeah.
I think there was a lot of interest in ML Reece in the summer. We beat off a lot of competition, so everybody did a really good job there to convince Emil that this was the place for him. He had a list of clubs, and I thought he was a really good free signing, and the club really did well to be able to tie him down. Yeah.
Okay, we have also got some questions from our online viewers. So Liam Fowler says, watched the under-21s last night. They were here at Ashton Gate. Good 4-0 win, wasn't it? Devonte Ferguson and Raphael Arole. How close are they to the first team? They both looked very competent in the last game.
Yeah, Devonte's a first-year scholar. He's just left school. So he'll take a bit of time, but he's one we really like. He's obviously now pushed into the 21s. He's just turned 17, so he's the one that we really like. Raf's been around it for a long time now, for the last 2 or 3 years. He's trained with the first team. He's had a few pre-seasons with the first team. Not quite got to the levels that we hoped Raf would get to, if I'm honest. So he's got a bit of work to do, but Devonte's one we really like for the future. Raf's 20 now, so he should be closer than he is to the first team and pushing Big Rob, really.
Okay, another one from Geordie H for Tom and Brian. The change of style from Liam to Gerhard, quite dramatic, even though we achieved success last season. Will this be the style the club will continue to recruit in, regardless of who is manager, head coach over the next few years?
Yes, I'll let Brian go into a bit more detail than me, but yes, that's what we're aiming to do.
Yeah, we've tried to build that style of play into the academy for the last 3 or 4 years. We thought Liam would be a step to help the coaching side and build us. We weren't sure how far Liam would get us, and he got us fantastically well into the top 6. But Gerhard, to be honest, as a group and the club, we think he is the perfect fit for what we want to do going forward. We want our players to be aggressive, we want them to run, we want them to play front foot, we want them to be exciting. And I know my first conversation with Gerhard for an hour when I first spoke with him, I was convinced that it was the perfect match for the football club going forward. And our talks about recruitment since Gerhard's been in for the last 4 months, the players fit. There's been no real disalignment with the players we want to take the club forward, because Gerhard wants to play the way we want to play, and the club is all aligned in that way. So I think it's only going to get stronger going forward. I think I've really enjoyed the 4 months with Gerhard so far to work with him, and I think he's going to be a real success at the football club.
And I know, Gerhard, you've been impressed, haven't you, with the players that you came into, how well they've adapted to your style?
Yeah, I think we made together a really good job in this way. We need exactly which football we want to play and which players they can deliver in this world of football. And I would say that we have in the end so many players in the transfer window in the summer with not so a big budget, and we made together, I would say, a really good job. And all the players are playing, all the players, I would say, in a really good position. And I would say that one or other player what comes in is right now a key player. So in this direction, I think we did together a good job. We make the team more interesting, stronger, yeah. And of course, when we have all the players available, yeah, then we have, of course, a really interesting roster at the moment. Yeah? And in this direction, yeah, we are happy.
Okay, we will soon wrap it up, but last call for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Anyone that hasn't asked one, I'm conscious I don't want to... Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, guys. Yeah, I'd just like to ask a question about the goalkeeping department. Radek Vitek is on loan until January, if I'm correct. Have we spoke to Manchester United about extending that loan? And is there a possibility of making it permanent? I know that's very, you know, it's a big ask, but, you know, I think he's a very impressive goalkeeper.
He signed a new contract at
Yes, when he came on loan to us a couple of months back, he signed a new contract extension at Manchester United. He is with us, and I'll caveat this, he's with us till the end of the season, but they had the right to recall him in January. We hope that isn't the case. We don't know what's going to happen, but that clause is in there. Did we ask about taking him on permanently? Yes. Was it very quickly rebuffed? Yes. And I think you can understand the reasons for that, because he's settled in really well, hasn't he? For a 21-year-old goalkeeper, we're really pleased with how he's performing.
Hi, guys. Question for Rob, really. You're playing Norwich on Saturday. You know the manager. Does it add extra spice to it when you think about it?
I guess naturally it does. I mean, you know, I have huge respect for Liam. He did a great job here. He worked well with me and well with the group. I think he left us in a good place. But you know, that's the past now. I'm only interested in the present. We're as a squad, we're extremely happy with our manager. We know exactly what he wants from us. We know, you know, we have the capabilities to deliver it. And we want to go, you know, take it to Norwich as much as we want to take it to any other team in the division. But certainly we want to pick up a bit of form, to be honest. The same sort of form we had at the start of the season, and that will start on Saturday, definitely.
Okay, one more.
Yeah. There's only a quick one. I think some holes were picked maybe on signings that might not have been made in the summer, but I think congratulations for not losing anybody that we didn't want to lose. It does go both ways. So congratulations on that, and I hope you can do the same for the guys that might be a problem with the current contracts. For Gerhard and Rob, I think thanks for the improved entertainment this season. I've enjoyed it much more as a fan. It's been way more enjoyable to come down, and I'll probably echo in that just now. If you could bring 3 points home on the weekend against Norwich, that would be pretty sweet. I'm sure I'm not alone in thinking that.
That's a lovely way to end. Thank you so much for your questions and being so engaged. And thank you to our panel. And last round of applause ahead of a trip to Norwich.